Buyer's remorse sweeps America. Hey everybody, Scott Walters, welcome to the channel. If you're new, I want to thank you for coming. If you're returning, I want to thank you for your continued support. Before we get into today's red hot topic, I'm going to politely ask you to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below. I would love to hear from you. Please watch to the end for my final thought. Hit the bell icon so you're notified when new videos are released. It's very important to stay close to the channel in these very tricky times. All right, folks, welcome to the channel. Always an honor and a privilege to be with you. I hope you're all doing great. Buckle up and strap in. I got a hard-hitting pull, no punches, no sugarcoating it, no rainbows or sunshine. I'm just going to give it to you and give it to you straight. And friends, we got a good one to unpackage today. This is getting serious as buyer's remorse is now sweeping America. This is insane. I laugh at this stuff to wrap my head around what we got to unpackage. And friends, this is really quite serious. I do my best to be a little bit entertaining, educational, and informative as we unpackage the biggest housing bubble ever produced in history. Somehow people thought this time would be different. Well, that was probably one of the biggest things as I started reporting when this bubble exploded, to be careful in these times, to use caution, that there would be blowback and the dust would settle and we would pay the piper from all the stimulus measures, programs, and money that was dumped into the economy. We knew it couldn't sustain itself. Yeah, Scott, but this time is different. The last bubble was due to bad loans. And I always said, you're right, this time is different. It's worse. My gosh, this stuff is insane. So the realities are this. I've reported on this before, but we got to touch on it again because now we're seeing what's happening. The people that bought in the height of this real estate bubble are nervous. They're shaking in their boots, and they should be. I know what it's like to walk in those shoes. It is no fun. And listen, as an industry guy, I got lucky in the last bubble. I was able to get out of that thing, but it was tough. Like I've always said, I don't necessarily regret going through that last bubble because of what I've learned, but I certainly don't want to go back and do it again. That's why I sat this one out. That's why as an industry guy, as a licensed realtor, I would have a very good, strong conversation with my buyers. Are you sure you want to buy in this climate? I'm okay if you want to sit this one out. I will earn your business later. Now, every single market's going to behave differently. We know that. Real estate is local. Some will be the last to feel a downturn. Some will be the first to rebound. But in a full-blown economic collapse, make no mistake about it, and I think this time is different because this was a different bubble than previous bubbles. It grew faster and it grew larger than anything we've ever seen. So it's much more dangerous. And now we're seeing the magnitude of what's going on with runaway inflation in a risen interest rate environment. We've thrown ice water on that red hot housing market. All areas are now trending the opposite direction, with some beginning the race to the bottom. Can you imagine if you just bought in one of those hot spots that saw ridiculous appreciation rates, ridiculous, whether it was Boise, Denver, Vegas, Phoenix, Miami, the list goes on. It's like throwing darts at a map now. You're probably going to hit an area that got too hot and it's now began the race to the bottom. Can you imagine if you were one of the buyers? And I know I'm speaking to some of you, and we're going to help all you moving forward. That is my commitment to you because I'm going to get a lot of people out of this. Just the way I got a lot of people out of the top of this and they sold at the height of this and cashed out. Very smart in retrospect as we look back. And I know because I couldn't just come right out and say, you guys, sell now. Like I have real estate, I've held it for a long time. Do you think it didn't cross my mind? Maybe I should sell. My properties are income properties with investors behind me that I've weathered the last storm with. They're very well insulated. In fact, it doesn't even have a mortgage on the property anymore. That's a different type of animal. The animal we're going to skin today is the people that bought in the height of this bubble and went above and beyond appraised values at ridiculous levels. Of course you're going to have buyer's remorse as reverse FOMO and contagion now sweeps these markets. We've talked about that since the beginning, that this bubble would be much more dangerous because of our digital diet. We are much more connected in this bubble than the last bubble. And like I said before, you're right, this bubble is different. It is worse because of that very thing, our digital diet. In the last bubble, we weren't walking around like zombies with our faces buried in a screen, getting information in real time. Good news travels very fast, but bad news, unfortunately, travels faster. Reverse FOMO, fear and panic contagion is sweeping these markets, and as inflation squashes people's earning power, they're now running on fumes. Many of them resorting to living on credit cards. Many of them discount shopping to try to hold on to the house. And why are they trying to hold on to the house? You guessed it, because they put so much pressure to buy the house. It really bothers me on one hand, right? Because as much as I love and owe a lot to real estate, I want to put people's needs before my own, because I know my rewards in life are in direct proportion to my contribution. For me to maintain my wealth, I have to make you wealthy first. Any rich person didn't get rich. They got rich by making other people rich. That's my goal, is to protect people. And your goal can be the same, simply by giving this video a like and subscribing and continuing to help get this message out and let people know that this is a bubble, and if they bought into it, it could be some pain, but you don't have to let it devastate you. You can learn some very important lessons. But what we're seeing now, friends, is this. Over 10 million people bought in the height of the real estate bubble, and the majority of them went above and beyond appraised value. So and I remember this from the last bubble. You bought at the height, it started trending the other direction. You had this wealth effect because you thought you made a great purchase, maybe even saw a little appreciation, went up a tick or two. You're like, great, I got in. And now your equity is evaporating and you're upside down in your purchase. And you know, if you've watched this channel before, because it comes down to the psychology of people, the psychology of sales, once your house goes upside down, you don't own the house anymore. It owns you. And if you didn't check the property's rent range to see if there's a possibility of putting a renter in there and at least getting them to make your payment, you are handcuffed by the house. So what's this going to produce then, Scott? Great, you've identified the biggest bubble in history. Congratulations there. Reverse FOMO, and people are now starting to panic and having buyer remorse. Great, you've identified that. What's that mean, Scott? In simple terms, what is for forward thinking, critical thinking, getting ahead of the curve, reading between the lines and looking between the cracks, centered and surrounded with like-minded people, Scott? What's that mean? Well, I'm going to tell you what that means, friends, and buckle up and strap in, because you might have a hard time swallowing this pill, because it's a big one. What this means, friends, is a foreclosure crisis. I hate to say it. I didn't make this mess. I'm just reporting on it, and I'm going to protect people. We're going to get a lot of people out of this with short sales versus foreclosures. But we're at the front end of a recession and a declining market where buyer's remorse is now sweeping all these people that bought in the bubble. And guess what they're going to start doing? They're going to start doing this. They're going to start walking away from homes. That's what they do. Because if you can no longer make the payment, eventually you get to what I call acceptance. First step of getting past the problem, admit there's a problem. They're admitting now there's a problem. They have buyer's remorse. Second step is accept it. We're screwed. This house is now an anchor. And the industry and the politics behind this, making minimum amounts down 3%. No skin in the game. Why wouldn't they walk away if you got no skin in the game? It's easy to walk away when you don't have the money sunk into the house. Many of these people, first-time home buyer programs, whatever the case may be. But even with that aside, because of the psychology of this, people are going to have a hard time walking away from homes because they put so much pressure to buy a home. And when you need housing, I mean, that's a basic need we all need, is shelter. It's really hard because you're like, where do I go? My credit's screwed. I've got no big security deposit or money to put down. We got into a situation in the last bubble called the buy and bail. A lot of people would see as like we talk about in these FOMO factory new developments. Let's say you bought at $500,000 at the top of the market. Now the builders selling at $300,000, and you're watching people walk in and buy the same house as you paid $5,000 or paying $3,000, almost 50% less. A lot of people, while their credit and income is still intact and they still have a job, they'll go buy another one at $3,000 and then walk away from the $500,000 house and just leave the keys under the mat. It was the buy and the bail. We're going to blow the lid off a lot of stuff as we move forward. In final thoughts, I come to you as a friend, as a content creator. Somebody wants to see you not only win in real estate, win in life. Understanding buyer's remorse is sweeping this market, and guess what it's going to result in? You guessed it, a foreclosure crisis will be produced out of this one. It hurts me to say it, but it's just the natural progression of what happens in a declining housing market when you have a bubble, when it exhibits bubble behavior. This bubble was way more dangerous than previous bubbles because it grew faster, bigger, and artificially with no organic growth. I want to raise the awareness, ring the bell, and sound the alarm so I can protect as many of you to understand the waters we're swimming in. This is how this thing plays out. Anybody that's trying to sugarcoat this and say this time is different, I have to politely disagree. I'm going to continue to do my best to raise awareness, ring the bell, and sound the alarm, because it's not only what we need, it's in fact what we deserve. If you appreciate the content, I want to humbly ask you to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below. I would love to hear from you. Social media link is in the description of this video if you'd like to follow me there, along with links to channels I've appeared on I think you might enjoy. If you're interested in buying or selling real estate here in America, I have the biggest network of top-rated agents in the nation ready to assist you. It would be our honor and our privilege to do so. There's an email in the description for you as well. If you're watching from your television set today and you enjoyed this video, I know you're going to love the next video coming in your screen, and there's an easy subscribe icon for your convenience. As always, thank you for your time. Please go make it count today. I will see you on the next video.